So there's a story out here that I wanted to touch on. I'm not sure if you guys have been hearing about this. It looks as if it's been out here now for about a week. A rapper out of Mississippi by the name of Notorious B.I.G is really trying to get his story out here that he feels that Puffy and B.I.G really stole his style and kind of delivered it as Notorious B.I.G's first album. So let me read you guys a statement from him. He says, in 1993, I was signed to a small record label called Dragon Records in Gulfport, Mississippi. I had a song I wrote to Intumi called Juicy Fruit. I wrote the song to the actual record, and it was called Big Daddy, Big Papa, Big Daddy. Big Daddy was the lead single off the Mississippi Doughboys album that was released in September of 1993. It was released on the same day as Snoop Dogg's first album, Doggy Style. The Doughboys album was made by two rappers from the Gulfport. The Notorious Big One, which is that's what his name was. Yeah, I had the name and the song first. I knew it might be hard to believe, but it's 100% true. I know it might be hard to believe, but it's 100% true. Um, we was on the radio first and in the stores first. We sent packages to all the major labels shopping for distribution. Just imagine to my surprise when people started telling me they seen my video. And we was trying to get the truth out back then, but after that, Biggie's death, and so I decided to leave it alone. But I feel like now I need to tell the truth and let everybody know that I was the Notorious B.I.G first. And so what I'm thinking is that when he was shopping his music around, that it may have crossed the death of Puffy, because you guys have to remember Puffy was the A&R guy for Uptown, and I think Uptown was a smaller label on MCA. I can't recall, but I think it was MCA back then. And so it is possible that his music was in the hands of Puffy. And then Puffy knew he wanted to sign Biggie. And if you guys remember, Biggie was going by Biggie Smalls. And I believe he had to change his name from Biggie Smalls because somebody else had that name. I can't recall now if it was a singer or rapper who had the name already. An entertainer already had the name. Let me just put it that way. You know, it's all a blur now, but I remember that, and that's why he didn't go by Biggie Smalls. And so Notorious B.I.G was the name that he decided to use by the time he dropped Ready to Die. And I think even on that song, I would have to, I can't play the music on here. You guys know we can't play music on here without permission. But the Supercat song with Biggie and Mary, I believe he acknowledges himself as Biggie Small. So, or, he says his name is Biggie Small on that song, if I remember correctly. I don't have to play the song. But it's definitely some songs out here where he was calling himself Biggie Small. And that was before his actual record came out, Ready to Die. Remember, Puffy was at Uptown first, and then he decided to start Bad Boys, and he went over and started Bad Boys under a different label, and I can't remember now. And it's neither here. I think it was Arista, but it's neither here nor there. So yeah, I can see Notorious B.I.G's music coming across the desk of the A&R at Uptown, and which was Puffy. So yeah, I believe him. I don't think he's lying. And then it kind of also makes me think about these people always got all this stuff to say about the South, right? And now it kind of makes sense why they feel the way they do about the South when they do that. But I digress. Let me know what you guys think about all of this, and how does that make you feel about the legacy of Biggie's legacy, knowing that this all came from someone else. For me, because some people are debating this on Instagram, for me it changes it, and at the same time it do not. I do feel like I want Notorious B.I.G to have the opportunity to tell his story. I feel like he should have the right to tell his story, write a book, whatever it is that he wants to do with that, because that's his story, if that's his truth, then he has a right to share that. People have to remember Puffy is very influential in the industry. He may not be to this generation, but he is in that industry because a lot of those executives, and I said this before, they're the same age as him, right? And so it is possible that because people are saying, well, why is he just not coming out? Like I read the statement he was saying he felt bad after Biggie died and just didn't feel like the story. He wanted to tell the story, but now he feel like he's feeling I want my story to the truth to be told, right? Um, so I do find the whole thing interesting. So I hope that he gets to put his story out here. Let me know what you guys think about all of this. And when you look up the album, Mississippi Doughboys, it is there. It's logged for 1993, and Juicy from Biggie came out in '94, and the song is very similar. His is Big Daddy, and Puffy's is Big Papa, right? Um, and yeah, I do put it on Puff because like I said, he was A&R. He was A&R, and so he would have had different artists coming across his desk. Also, he would have been out scouting for these people for Uptown and for Bad Boy, right? Because I'm sure in the back of his mind, he wanted to do, he had planned in his own label at some point. I think that's how that story goes. But then, another situation that made me think about where it was concerning Puffy, that when Gorilla Black, who came out of Compton, was trying to come out, and people were kind of saying that there was a similarity between the two, between Biggie and Gorilla Black, he was so upset and was saying that there could be no other Biggie, and but if you know that you were taking from somebody else's style anyway who looked very similar to Biggie as well, how can you get upset over Gorilla Black coming, right? So it's that part for me as well, because I do remember that. I understand Biggie had passed away, but before Gorilla Black came out, but I felt like anybody, regardless if there is a similarity or not, he still had a right to come out. Just because they were similar in looks. Gorilla Black was coming from a hood perspective. He certainly wasn't coming from a flashy, perspective like Biggie's persona was. And so there was just a similarity in their look and maybe somewhat in their sound, but that's it. That's the only things that were similar about them. But let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments. I don't put nothing past nobody. I'll just say that. Um, Hopefully this guy gets to tell his story, and I don't know how to feel about everything else. I mean, for me, Biggie is still Biggie. I think outside of that song, because Juicy is the only song that I'm hearing the similarities to this guy, but the rest of Biggie's body, his body of work, I'm assuming came from him, and then the work he did with Junior Mafia and other people, right? So I don't know if I, you know, feel like his legacy should change because of this. But it is interesting to know that somebody took somebody's style in order to create who they were, to create their own persona. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments. And will this change your mind about Biggie, about Notorious B.I.G., knowing that the name came from another rapper? Now, it's possible that Notorious B.I.G. didn't even know, because like I said, he was going by Biggie Smalls. Maybe Puffy went to him with the name, right? And he didn't even know where it came from. He's not here, so there's no way to really, ask him. Also, Puffy is a producer. He produces music, right? So I don't know if he was behind Juicy. Somebody was saying P. Rock was behind Juicy. Notorious B.I.G.'s version. I don't know. I'm not holding all that information in front of me right now, but and I certainly don't remember off the top of my head. But He is also a producer, so he probably took Big, because when you go and listen to Big Daddy, it is very similar to Juicy. Very similar to Juicy, the concept. And so I get what he's saying. The concept of the two songs and the styles of the Big Papa, Big Daddy is, is too much of a coincidence, especially coming at that same time. One was 93 and the other was 94, right? And then when you couple that with someone who has influence like Puffy, then it kind of blocks the person out from being able to tell their story. But he said once Biggie passed away, he really didn't want to put the story out there. But remember, we didn't have social media. Things didn't get around the world in 5 minutes. It would have took time and for him to really go sit down with some radio stations and with the media, the real media, to really get his story out there. And with Puffy having that level of influence, they probably just were not going to do it. And they certainly were not going to do it in New York or on the East Coast. So, but let me know what you guys think about all of this. Do this change Biggie's legacy for you guys? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.